The scent of lavender and sandalwood fills my studio as 20 bodies move in synchronized breath, following my lead through the final sun salutation. Peace radiates through the room, except for one corner where tension crackles like static electricity. "This is ridiculous," Margaret whispers loudly to her neighbor. "Did you hear what they're saying about her online?" I maintain my serene expression, guiding the class into Savasana, but my stomach clenches. 3 months of marriage, and already my mother-in-law's whisper campaign is seeping into my sanctuary. "Release any remaining tension," I instruct, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. "Let go of thoughts that no longer serve you." If only I could follow my own guidance. Instead, my mind races back to last Sunday's brunch, where Catherine's perfectly manicured fingers wrapped around her mimosa glass as she delivered her latest barb. "Darling," she'd said to Ryan, completely ignoring my presence, "I do worry about Adriana's business model. Charging premium rates while offering private sessions to married men? People talk, you know." The class ends and students roll up their mats. Margaret and her friend hurry out, whispering behind their hands. I busy myself adjusting props, pretending not to notice. "Hey." Lily, my best friend and studio manager, appears at my side. "Don't let them get to you. Catherine's just jealous because you actually built something meaningful here." I force a smile. "I'm fine." "You're not fine. I saw your hands shaking during tree pose." "Did anyone else notice?" "No, but..." My phone buzzes. A text from Ryan. "Mom's coming for dinner. Says she has something important to discuss." Shit. The word escapes before I can catch it. Lily reads over my shoulder. "Cancel it. Say you're sick." "And prove her right about me being unsuitable for her precious son?" I shake my head. "No way." "Then let me help you prepare. We can..." "I've got this." I straighten my spine, channeling the strength I encourage in my students. It's just dinner. But 6 hours later, as Catherine sits at my dining table examining the wine label with barely concealed disdain, I realize how naive that thought was. "Local wine?" She sets the bottle down like it might bite. "How quaint." Ryan squeezes my hand under the table. "It's actually quite good, Mom. Adriana has excellent taste." "In some things, perhaps." Catherine's smile doesn't reach her eyes. "Speaking of taste, I received some concerning information today about the studio." My fork freezes halfway to my mouth. "What kind of information?" Ryan asks. "Well," Catherine dabs her lips with her napkin, "it seems there are some rather unsavory rumors circulating about inappropriate relationships with clients." The salmon turns to ash in my mouth. "That's absolutely false." "Of course you'd say that, dear. But where there's smoke..." She pulls out her phone. "These reviews are quite specific. Dates, times, names." Ryan releases my hand. "Names?" "All married men," Catherine adds helpfully. "I'm only bringing this up because I care about both of you. Your reputation, Ryan. The family name." "Those reviews are fake," I say, but my voice sounds distant even to my own ears. "Someone's trying to sabotage my business." "Why would anyone do that?" Catherine's concern is perfectly practiced. Unless... Unless what? Ryan's voice has that edge I've never heard before. I stand up suddenly, my chair scraping against the floor. "I need some air." "Adriana," Ryan calls after me, but I'm already heading for the balcony. Outside, the city lights blur through my tears. Behind me, I hear Catherine's soft voice. "I hate to be the one to tell you this, son, but there's more." My fingers grip the railing until my knuckles turn white. In this moment, watching my carefully built life begin to crumble, something shifts inside me. The peaceful yoga instructor who preaches forgiveness and harmony fades away, replaced by something harder, colder. Catherine wants war? Fine. But she has no idea what I'm capable of when pushed too far. I take one deep breath, straighten my shoulders, and turn back toward the dining room. "Game on, mother dear. Game on." I delete another 1-star review from my studio's page, my hands trembling with rage. That makes 7 this week. Each one mentioning inappropriate behavior with male clients. Each one worded just differently enough to seem legitimate. "You need to see this," Lily says, pushing her laptop across my desk. She's pulled up the local community Facebook group where Catherine holds court like some digital queen bee. She's getting bolder. The post makes my blood run cold. "Concerned about the predatory behavior at certain wellness establishments in our community. As a former educator, I feel compelled to warn others." My phone buzzes. Ryan. "Mom's worried about you, says you're not returning her calls. Can we talk?" Delete it. I tell Lily, pushing back from my desk. I need air. Outside, I nearly collide with Ethan, Ryan's younger brother, who's loitering by the studio entrance. Hey, sis, he says, his casual tone setting off warning bells. Got a minute? Actually, it's about Mom. He glances around, lowering his voice. And Ryan. I follow him to the coffee shop next door, where he orders nothing and fidgets with a napkin. Look, he starts. Mom's just trying to protect the family. If you'd just, I don't know, be more traditional, less independent. Excuse me? Ryan's stressed. The rumors are affecting his work. His boss pulled him aside yesterday. Rumors your mother started. You don't know that. But he won't meet my eyes. Maybe if you sold the studio, focused on being a wife. I stand up so quickly, my chair topples backward. Several heads turn. Did Catherine send you? No, Ryan's my brother. I hate seeing him torn like this. Torn between what? His wife and his mother? There shouldn't even be a choice. My sister Mia's voice cuts through the tension. Everything okay here? She's standing at our table, arms crossed, event planner's tablet tucked under one arm. Her expression is neutral, but I catch the protective edge in her stance. Just a family chat, Ethan says, standing. Think about what I said, Adriana. For Ryan's sake. After he leaves, Mia slides into his vacant seat. Spill. I tell her everything. The reviews, Catherine's post, Ethan's suggestion. Her face darkens with each detail. That manipulative witch, she mutters. You know she's doing this because you threaten her control over Ryan. You're everything she's not. Successful, independent, and apparently predatory. I laugh bitterly. Fight back. I've got dirt on her from planning their country club events. The way she treated the staff, the money that went missing from the charity auction. My phone buzzes again. This time it's a group text from Catherine to the entire family. Dinner at my house tonight. Non-negotiable. Family emergency to discuss. Don't go, Mia says immediately. If I don't, she'll spin it as proof I'm hiding something. I close my eyes, remembering the steel that filled me last night. Besides, maybe it's time to stop playing defense. Back at the studio, I find Lily deep in research mode. You're not going to believe this, she says, spinning her screen toward me. I trace the IP addresses of those negative reviews. 3 of them came from Catherine's house. Can you prove it? Better. I can prove she's been using multiple accounts to harass other businesses, too. Anyone she sees as a threat to her social standing. I'm about to respond when Ryan appears in the doorway. The dark circles under his eyes match mine. We need to talk, he says. Lily squeezes my shoulder as she leaves us alone. Ryan paces the small office, running his hands through his hair. My boss called me in again. He starts. The rumors. They're affecting our biggest client. They're threatening to pull their account. Ryan, just tell me the truth. Is there anything to these stories? Anything at all? The question hits like a physical blow. You're actually asking me that? I don't know what to think anymore. Mom wouldn't what? Lie? Manipulate? Destroy someone's reputation? He won't meet my eyes. She says she has proof. In that moment, something inside me hardens completely. You know what? Go to her dinner tonight. Listen to her proof. But remember this moment, Ryan. Remember you chose to believe her over me. He reaches for my hand, but I step back. Adriana, I'll be at dinner too, I say, my voice steady despite my crumbling heart. And I'm bringing proof of my own. Catherine's dining room feels like a courtroom, all polished mahogany and accusation. I sit across from Ryan, the evidence Lily gathered burning a hole in my phone, while Catherine serves her famous pot roast with a side of smug satisfaction. I'm so glad we could all be here, she says, pointedly excluding Mia, who wasn't invited. We need to discuss the situation with the studio. What situation? I keep my voice steady, watching Ryan's face. He studies his plate. The complaints are mounting. Catherine sighs, as if this pains her deeply. 3 more women came to me today, concerned about their husbands' private sessions. Ethan shifts uncomfortably. Maybe we should show them, Catherine interrupts, pulling out a manila folder. The evidence. She spreads photographs across the table. Me with male clients, all perfectly innocent yoga adjustments twisted to look intimate. My hands shake as I recognize the angles, the careful cropping. These are from our security cameras, I say. Someone hacked. A concerned employee sent them to me, Catherine cuts in, along with some rather explicit text messages. Ryan's head snaps up. Messages? Fabricated, I spit out. Just like the reviews from your IP address, Catherine. The room goes still. Catherine's fork pauses halfway to her mouth. I beg your pardon? I pull out my phone, but Ethan suddenly knocks over his wine glass. Red liquid spreads across the table, seeping into the photographs. In the chaos of cleaning up, my phone disappears. Looking for this? Catherine holds up my phone, which somehow ended up on her side of the table. Let's see this evidence of yours. Give it back. The passcode, dear? Mom, Ryan warns, but there's no real force behind it. If you have nothing to hide. Catherine's smile is razor sharp. I stand up slowly. You want to talk about hiding things? Let's discuss the missing charity auction money, or the real reason your last teaching job ended. Color drains from her face. How dare you? Lily's been busy, I continue, heart pounding. Did you know deleted emails are recoverable, Catherine? That digital footprints never really disappear? Ryan. She turns to her son, voice trembling. Are you going to let her threaten me like this? I want to see the messages, Ryan says quietly. The ones you mentioned. Of course. Catherine reaches for her folder, but I'm already moving. Check the metadata, I tell Ryan. The timestamps, the origins. Your mother's quite tech-savvy for someone who claims she can barely use Facebook. Enough. Catherine slams her hand on the table. I tried to handle this privately, but you leave me no choice. Ryan, show her. Ryan pulls out an envelope. The Board of Ethics received a formal complaint. They're investigating the studio. The room spins. What? Multiple witnesses. Catherine adds smoothly, all very concerned about professional boundaries. You did this, I whisper. You orchestrated all of it. I protected my son from a gold digger who— Mom! Ryan stands up. That's enough. But it's not enough. Not nearly. Because I suddenly see something in Catherine's eyes. Not triumph, but fear. She's scared. Of what I might know. Of what I might find. Ryan, I say carefully, ask your mother about November 15th, 1989. Catherine's glass shatters on the floor. What's November 15th? Ethan asks. Nothing, Catherine snaps. An insignificant date. The day everything changed, I say, watching her closely. Isn't that right? The day you made a choice that's haunted you ever since. Get out, her voice shakes. Get out of my house. Mom? Ryan looks between us. What's she talking about? Ask her, I say, heading for the door. Ask her about the baby she gave away. The one before you. The silence behind me is deafening. I pause in the doorway, turn back one last time. By the way, I have copies of everything, and tomorrow I start fighting back. Outside, my hands shake so badly I can barely call Mia. When she answers, I'm already crying. It's done, I tell her. I dropped the bomb. Come over, she says. Lily's here. We've found something else. Something bigger. I look back at Catherine's house where raised voices now filter through the windows. How much bigger? Remember how Mom always said our parents died in a car crash? My blood runs cold. Yes? Catherine was the principal at their school, and I just found out why they were driving that night. The newspaper clipping trembles in my hands as Mia and Lily hover nearby. Yellowed with age, the headline screams across decades, local educator cleared in fatal accident investigation. She was the last person to see them alive, Mia says, her voice hollow. Our parents went to confront her that night about something they'd discovered at the school. Lily taps her laptop screen. The police report mentions missing financial records, but the case was closed within weeks. Catherine's husband was the deputy mayor then. My phone buzzes. Ryan again. 10th missed call since I left the dinner party. I silence it. There's more, Mia continues. Remember that teaching assistant who disappeared the year before? The one Catherine claimed moved to Oregon? A knock at the door makes us all jump. Through the peephole, I see Ethan looking disheveled. Don't, Lily warns, but I'm already opening it. He bursts in. You need to come back. Mom's having some kind of breakdown talking about babies and accidents and— He stops, seeing the newspaper. What's that? Ask your mother, I say. Ask her about Sandra Chen, the teaching assistant who knew too much. His face drains of color. How do you know that name? Because our parents knew it too. Mia steps forward. Right before they died. Ethan sinks onto the couch. The night of the accident, Mom came home late. Her car had a dent. Dad made some calls and everything just went away. My phone lights up again. Not Ryan this time, but Catherine. Put it on speaker. Lily says. Catherine's voice fills the room, raw and desperate. You think you know everything, don't you? But you have no idea what really happened that night. Then tell me. Your parents were going to destroy everything I'd built. They didn't understand the choices I had to make. What choices? Come alone to the school, the old building. I'll show you exactly what happened 25 years ago. The line goes dead. It's a trap, Lily says immediately. Obviously, I agree. But she's unraveling. This might be our only chance to get the truth. I'm calling Ryan, Ethan stands. No, I grab his arm. Your mother's spent decades building walls of lies. If Ryan shows up, she'll just construct another one. Then I'm coming with you, Mia insists. I shake my head. She'll only talk if I'm alone, but I need you to do something else. I outline my plan quickly, watching understanding dawn in their eyes. That's brilliant, Lily whispers, and terrifying. If I'm not back in 2 hours, we'll have everything ready, Mia promises. The drive to the old school building feels like entering another dimension. Catherine stands in the shadows of the entrance, looking smaller somehow, more fragile. I knew you'd come, she says. You're just like them, so righteous, so sure of your moral high ground. Show me. She leads me through dark hallways to the basement. Each step echoes with decades of secrets. Your parents found financial records, she says, voice distant. But they didn't understand. The money wasn't for me. It was for them. Them? The girls. The ones who needed help. Sandra helped arrange everything. Until she wanted more money, started making threats. My blood runs cold. What did you do to her? Catherine laughs, a broken sound. The same thing I did to your parents. The same thing I'll do to you if you don't back off. A door slams behind us. I spin around, heart pounding, but Catherine blocks the exit. You should have taken the hint, she says. Should have just walked away. Now I'll have to explain another tragic accident. Like you explained Sandra's disappearance? Ryan will understand. He always does. Will he understand this? I pull out my phone, the recording light blinking. Behind Catherine, shadows move in the darkness. Now, Mia. The basement floods with light. Ethan and Ryan step out of the shadows, phones raised, recording everything. Mia stands by the stairs, her tablet live streaming to the police. Catherine's face crumples. Ryan, I can explain, but Ryan's eyes are ice. I think you've explained enough, Mom. In the distance, sirens wail. The police interview room feels colder than the basement where Catherine tried to trap me. Detective Morris slides another crime scene photo across the table. My parents' mangled car at the bottom of the ravine. Mrs. Henderson maintains it was an accident, he says. Just like she maintains Sandra Chen moved to Oregon. And you believe her? He taps the photo. 25 years of believing doesn't make something true. My phone buzzes. Another message from Ryan. We need to talk, please. Your mother-in-law's political connections won't help her this time, Morris continues. But we need more than circumstantial evidence. What about the financial records? Disappeared, along with everything else from that period. I leave the station feeling hollow. Lily's waiting outside, laptop open. You need to see this. It's a video from Catherine's hearing. She sits perfectly poised, every inch the respected educator. These accusations are absolutely groundless, she tells the judge. Adriana has been unstable since losing her parents. She's fabricating these connections to process her grief. That manipulative... Wait, Lily says. Watch Ethan. Behind Catherine, Ethan shifts uncomfortably, touching his jacket pocket. The same nervous tic from childhood, when he was hiding something. He knows something, I breathe. Better. Lily zooms in. Look what's sticking out of his pocket. A flash of red. The corner of a notebook. My phone rings. Ethan. Don't answer, Lily warns. But I do. Hello? Meet me at the studio. Alone. His voice shakes. Mom doesn't know I kept it. The studio is dark when I arrive. Ethan paces between the yoga mats, jumping at shadows. Show me, I say. He pulls out a red notebook. Sandra's diary. She gave it to me for safekeeping, right before she left. I was just a kid. Didn't understand what it meant until now. I reach for it, but he pulls back. Wait, you need to know. This will destroy everything. Not just Mom, all of us. She killed our parents. And Ryan's father. His words hit like physical blows. The diary. It's all here. The money laundering, the girls she helped. Dad's threats to expose her. The accident that wasn't an accident. My phone buzzes again. Ryan. Always Ryan. He deserves to know, Ethan says. Like you deserve to know? All these years you kept this hidden. I was protecting my family. You were protecting a murderer. The studio door opens. Ryan stands there, face ashen. I heard everything. Ethan stumbles back. How long? Long enough. Ryan moves toward us. The diary, now. Ryan, I start, but he cuts me off. You don't understand. None of you do. This goes deeper than Mom. What are you talking about? He pulls out his phone, shows us an email. Dad's old partner contacted me. There are people who'll pay to keep this quiet. Enough to set us all up for life. The world tilts sideways. You want to bury this? After everything she's done? I want us to be smart about this. He reaches for me. Think about it. The money, a fresh start. I step back. Our parents deserve justice. Your parents are dead, he snaps. Nothing will bring them back. But we're alive and we have choices. Ethan clutches the diary tighter. We can't. Can't what? Catherine's voice cuts through the darkness. She stands in the doorway, gun trained on the diary. Can't keep family secrets? Can't protect each other? Mom, Ryan breathes. What are you doing? What I've always done. Protecting this family. She steps forward. The diary, Ethan. Now. My phone buzzes one final time. A text from Mia. Police in position. Keep her talking. But as I look at Ryan's conflicted face, at Ethan's trembling hands, at Catherine's unwavering gun, I realize something terrible. I don't know whose side anyone is really on anymore, and the truth might destroy us all. The diary burns in the fireplace while Catherine keeps the gun trained on us. Each curling page takes my parents' justice with it, turning truth to ash. Ryan stands between us, his loyalty finally chosen. It's better this way, he says softly. A clean slate. My wedding ring feels like it's burning my finger. Clean for who? Everyone. Catherine's voice is steady now, confident. The money will be in your account by morning. Enough to start fresh somewhere else. You think you can buy my silence after confessing to murder? Confessing? She laughs. There's no evidence, dear, just the ravings of a troubled woman who's clearly having a mental breakdown. Ethan won't meet my eyes. His betrayal stings worse than Ryan's somehow. He had the truth all along, held on to it until it could be used as a bargaining chip. The police, I start, have nothing. Ryan cuts in. Mom's right, without the diary. My phone buzzes. Mia's message glows. Officers in position, give the signal. But what signal? What proof? I watch another page blacken and curl, taking Sandra's words with it. I've already called Dr. Warner, Catherine continues. He understands you're having episodes, delusions about your parents' accident. He's agreed to help. The implications hit me. You're going to have me committed? For your own good, Ryan says, reaching for my hand. Just until you're better. I jerk away. Don't touch me. See? Catherine sighs. Paranoid, aggressive, classic signs of a breakdown. My studio door opens. Dr. Warner enters with 2 orderlies. Everything's happening too fast. It's okay, Adriana, he says soothingly. We're here to help. This is insane. Mia knows. Your sister's worried about you too. Catherine interjects smoothly. She agrees you need help. My heart stops. What? She called me this morning. She's the one who suggested Dr. Warner. You're lying. But my phone buzzes again. Mia, I'm sorry. It's the only way to keep you safe. The orderlies move closer. Ryan steps aside, his face a mask of concerned betrayal that makes me want to scream. The police, I try again, have been informed of your condition. Dr. Warner says gently. Your recent accusations, the conspiracy theories, they understand. Catherine's smile is triumphant. Sometimes loving someone means protecting them from themselves. The orderlies reach for me. I dodge, but there's nowhere to go. The diary is ash, my allies have turned, and my own sister... Wait, I gasp. My phone, the recording. But Ryan holds up my phone, already factory reset. It's okay, honey. You don't need this right now. No. The word comes out broken as the orderlies grab my arms. You can't. 3 days of observation, Dr. Warner says. Then we'll evaluate. 3 days is plenty, Catherine adds, her meaning clear. Plenty of time to erase whatever's left of the truth. As they drag me toward the door, I lock eyes with Ethan. He looks away, but not before I see it. Guilt, yes, but something else. His hand touches his pocket again, that nervous tick, and suddenly I understand. The diary wasn't the only copy, but it doesn't matter now. The sedative enters my arm, and the world starts to blur. The last thing I see is Ryan's face, full of false concern, as Catherine puts her arm around him. "It's for the best," she says, her voice fading. Sometimes family has to make hard choices. Family. The word follows me into darkness, bitter as ash. I thought I was fighting for justice, for truth. Instead, I've lost everything. My husband, my sister, my freedom. Catherine has won, turning everyone against me with a precision that would be admirable if it wasn't destroying my life. As consciousness slips away, one thought remains. Ethan's nervous tick, his pocket. Whatever he's hiding might be my last chance at truth. If I can survive the next 3 days with my sanity intact. The ambulance doors close. Through the window, I watch my studio recede, taking with it everything I thought I knew about family, loyalty, and justice. But Catherine taught me one thing. Sometimes the best revenge requires patience. And in 3 days, she'll learn just how well I've learned that lesson. If I survive that long. The psychiatric ward's fluorescent lights flicker as Lily helps me into street clothes. 3 days of forced observation have left me hollow, but clear-headed. Maybe too clear. "Ethan's waiting in the car," she whispers. "Catherine's at the country club for their annual charity gala." "And Mia?" "Already there, with the proof." My hands shake as I button my blouse. "You're sure about the USB drive?" Ethan kept a digital copy of everything. Sandra's diary, the financial records, even Catherine's private emails about your parents. The ward door opens. Ryan stands there, looking uncertain. "The doctor's signing your release papers." "Don't," Lily starts, but I touch her arm. "It's okay. Give us a minute." When we're alone, Ryan steps closer. "You look better." Amazing what 3 days of forced sedation can do. "Adriana, Save it. You chose your side." His face hardens. "I chose family." "So did I." Understanding dawns in his eyes. But before he can speak, my phone buzzes. Mia's signal. The gala's starting. The country club ballroom glitters with false pretense. Catherine holds court near the podium, accepting congratulations for another successful fundraiser. When she sees me, her champagne glass freezes halfway to her lips. "You're supposed to be committed?" I move closer. "Sorry to disappoint." "Security," she starts, but I cut her off. "Before you do that, you might want to look at the screens." Every monitor in the ballroom flickers to life. Sandra Chen's face appears, young and afraid, reading from her diary. Then financial records, photos, email threads. The truth, impossible to ignore. Catherine lunges for the podium microphone, but Mia's faster. "Ladies and gentlemen," my sister's voice rings out, "I think it's time we learned where last year's missing charity funds really went, and the year before, and about a young teaching assistant who knew too much." "You don't understand," Catherine hisses at me. "I protected those girls, gave them choices. Like you gave Sandra a choice, my parents? They were going to ruin everything." The crowd murmurs as more evidence fills the screens. Catherine's careful facade crumbles in real time. "Turn it off," she demands, but no one moves. "Ryan, do something." Ryan steps forward, but not to help her. "Is it true about Dad? Your father was weak. He would have destroyed us all." Ethan emerges from the crowd, holding up his phone. "I kept everything, Mom, every recording, every confession." "You ungrateful." She reaches into her purse. "The gun's gone," I tell her quietly. "Detective Morris has it, along with your prints from the night my parents died." She backs away, looking for escape, but the crowd has become a wall. Years of manipulation and murder collapse into this single moment of exposure. "I did it all for you," she tells Ryan. "Everything. Always for you." "No," he says. "You did it for yourself." Police appear at the doorways. Catherine sees them and something breaks in her eyes. She turns to me, all pretense gone. "You think this is justice?" she snarls. "You've destroyed your marriage, your family. You destroyed those things. I'm just bringing the truth to light." "The truth?" She laughs, high and broken. "You want truth? Ryan's not my only secret child. Ask your sister why she really helped you." My head snaps toward Mia, who's gone pale. "That's right," Catherine continues as the police move in. "Sandra Chen didn't just disappear. She gave birth first. to a baby girl. Who better to help destroy me than another daughter I threw away? The handcuffs click around Catherine's wrists, but I barely hear the Miranda rights being read. I'm staring at Mia, my sister, my ally, my half-sister. She meets my eyes across the chaos, and in that moment I understand everything. Why she always knew more than she let on. Why she fought so hard to help me expose Catherine. I wanted to tell you, she whispers. The truth crashes over me. Not just justice served, but family redefined. As Catherine is led away, still spitting revelations like venom, I realize revenge wasn't the end I was seeking. It was understanding. And now, standing in the wreckage of exposed secrets, I have to decide what to rebuild from these ashes of truth. The courthouse steps feel colder than they should in spring. Catherine's sentencing ended hours ago, but I can't seem to leave. 25 years for my parents' deaths, plus Sandra's disappearance. Justice, they call it. But justice feels different than I imagined. Here, Mia appears beside me, offering coffee. My sister, Catherine's daughter. The truth still feels raw, even weeks later. Did you know? I ask. Before all this? I found Sandra's letters last year. She left them with my adoptive parents. She sits beside me. That's when I started watching Catherine, gathering evidence. You could have told me. Would you have believed that your sister was really your enemy's daughter? Her smile is sad. I barely believed it myself. Movement catches my eye. Ryan exits the courthouse, Ethan beside him. They pause when they see us, uncertainty hanging between us like smoke. The house sold, Ryan says finally. And the country club membership. Keep it, I tell him. I don't want anything from her. What about this? He holds out a familiar red notebook, the original diary. Found it in Mom's safe. There's more in here, about other children. My stomach turns. How many? Enough to keep the police busy. Ethan takes the notebook. I'll make sure it gets to Detective Morris. Ryan lingers. Adriana, Don't. I stand up. Some betrayals can't be undone. I was trying to protect your family, I know, but I was your family too. He flinches as if I'd struck him. Good. Let him feel something real for once. Lily pulls up in her car, right on time. Ready? I look at the scattered remains of what I once called family. Ryan, who chose loyalty over love. Ethan, finally finding his courage too late. And Mia, my sister in more ways than blood could ever define. The studio reopens tomorrow, I tell them. New name, new start. You're welcome to come, or not. What are you calling it? Ethan asks. Phoenix Rising Wellness, Mia answers for me. Because some things have to burn before they can be reborn. Ryan steps forward. Maybe someday. Someday is too far away, I cut him off. And not far enough. In Lily's car, I watch them shrink in the rearview mirror. 3 figures on courthouse steps, bound by secrets and sins they didn't commit. You never told them, did you? Lily asks quietly. About the other diary? I touch my bag where Sandra's second journal lies hidden, the one containing the names of powerful men who used Catherine's services over the years. My insurance policy, my last piece of leverage. Some truths serve better as shadows, I say, reminders that everyone has something to hide. And some truths set us free, Mia adds from the back seat. I think of Catherine in her prison cell, of Ryan in his empty house, of all the careful lies exposed to sunlight. But I also think of Mia, who chose truth over comfort, and Lily, who never wavered. The studio event tonight, Lily reminds me. Your first class back. You sure you're ready? I close my eyes, feeling the weight of Sandra's second diary, heavy with secrets that could destroy more lives. Revenge brought justice, but at what cost? And what would justice mean for those other names, those other crimes? I'm ready, I say, opening my eyes. But not for a yoga class. Mia leans forward. What then? A support group for survivors of family violence, people who need to tell their stories. Because that's the real power, isn't it? Not revenge, but revelation. Not destruction, but reconstruction. Building something new from the ashes of what burned. Sandra would have liked that, Mia says softly. The sun sets behind us as we drive, painting the sky in colors of fire and rebirth. I think of Catherine's final words in court. I regret nothing. But I do, and I don't, and somehow both are true. Tomorrow, I'll stand before a room of strangers and say, Tell me your story. And in their truths, maybe I'll find the final pieces of my own. But for now, I let the sunset burn away the last shadows of what was, making space for what could be. Some phoenixes rise alone, but the strongest ones rise together.
My name is Elizabeth Anderson. Everyone calls me Betty. I just turned 65, but I still feel young at heart. I've been living alone since I lost my beloved husband George 3 years ago, but I don't have time to feel lonely. Even after retiring from my 40-year career as an elementary school teacher, I keep busy with local volunteer work and my book club. My motto is, life is a continuous learning experience. George used to laugh and say, "You can't stop being a teacher, even in retirement, can you?" My greatest joy is spending time with my son Michael and his family. Especially my 3-year-old grandson Tommy, who's the light of my life. Just seeing his smile warms my heart. Tomorrow is Tommy's 3rd birthday. I'm so excited already. Michael and Sarah seem to be busy with work, but we're planning to celebrate together over a video call. Yesterday, I went shopping for presents. I bought a dinosaur picture book and a cute dinosaur stuffed animal, both of which Tommy loves. I'm already imagining how happy he'll be, and it fills me with joy. The morning sunlight streaming through the window woke me up. I glanced at the clock. It was only 6 a.m. But today is Tommy's 3rd birthday, and I'm too excited to sleep any longer. I got out of bed and made some coffee first thing. With a warm cup in hand, I headed to the living room. On the table lay the presents I had carefully wrapped last night. I couldn't help but smile. At 8 o'clock, I started preparing for the video call. I turned on my new tablet and checked the connection. I fixed my hair and put on a bright cardigan that Tommy likes. I hung Tommy's favorite dinosaur picture in the background. At 9 a.m., the appointed time, I nervously pressed the call button. As the ringtone sounded, my heart started racing. The screen brightened, and Tommy's face appeared. But at that moment, my smile froze. "Tommy." My voice was trembling. The Tommy on the screen had white bandages wrapped around both eyes. His usual bright smile was nowhere to be seen. "Grandma." Tommy's voice was small and shaky. "Grandma, I can't see anything." With those words, I felt my world crumbling. "Tommy, what happened? What's going on?" I asked frantically. But Tommy remained silent, just trembling his small body. "Michael? Sarah? Are you there?" I called out desperately, but there was no answer. Around Tommy, there were no birthday decorations or cake to be seen. Just white walls and a dimly lit room. What kind of special birthday is this? "Tommy, it's okay. Grandma's coming right away, all right?" Tommy nodded faintly at my words. The video call suddenly cut off. I tried calling back, but couldn't get through. As my mind went blank, I immediately decided to take action. With shaking hands, I grabbed my car keys and rushed out of the house. It's a 3-hour drive to Michael's house. On the way, I called Michael and Sarah's cell phones multiple times, but neither answered. Anxiety and fear spread through my chest, but I told myself I needed to stay calm for Tommy's sake. 3 hours later, I arrived at Michael's house. I knocked on the front door, but there was no response. "Tommy." "It's Grandma," I called out, and I heard a faint noise. Deciding it was an emergency, I used the spare key I had been given before to enter the house. In the dim interior, I found a frightened Tommy. "Grandma." Tommy ran towards me, crying. "It's okay, Tommy. You're safe now." I hugged my grandson tightly. I carefully removed the bandages from Tommy's eyes. Fortunately, there didn't seem to be any major injuries, but there were bruises around his eyes. Anger welled up inside me, but right now, calming Tommy down was the priority. "Tommy, let's go home with Grandma," I said gently while quickly packing his things. Before getting in the car, I called the police and Child Protective Services, briefly explaining the situation. Following their instructions, I decided to move Tommy to a safe place. As I drove, my resolve solidified. What should I do next to uncover the truth and protect Tommy? It's going to be a long night. By the time I brought Tommy back to my house and finally settled him down, it was late into the night. After gently tucking him into bed, I returned to the living room, feeling almost crushed by heavy fatigue and anxiety. Gazing out the window, I desperately tried to figure out what to do next. I still couldn't reach Michael and Sarah. Where on earth were they? And why had they left Tommy in such a state? Questions kept piling up. I took a deep breath to calm myself. "Stay cool, Betty," I told myself. From my years of teaching experience, I knew the importance of remaining calm in difficult situations. First thing in the morning, I called Child Protective Services and gave them a detailed explanation of the situation. They responded quickly, arranging for a social worker to visit my home that same day. Next, I contacted my friend Judy, who lives near Michael's house. "Judy, it's been a while," I said over the phone. Judy sounded surprised. "Betty, what's the matter? Did something happen?" I took a deep breath and briefly explained the situation. Judy's voice was clearly shaken. "Actually," Judy began hesitantly, "things have been strange at Michael's house lately. There's been crying at night, and the curtains are always closed, even during the day." This information amplified my anxiety. After that, I started gathering bits of information from other neighbors. Recent observations of Michael and Sarah, the frequency of their outings with Tommy, noises at night, each piece was like a small part forming an ominous bigger picture. After the social worker's visit, I steeled my resolve. To uncover the truth and protect Tommy, I needed to investigate more thoroughly. The next day, I visited Tommy's preschool. The principal, Mrs. Johnson, seemed surprised by my visit. "Mrs. Anderson," the principal said, "is this about Tommy? He's been absent for 2 weeks. His parents said he had a cold, but..." A cold? Michael hadn't mentioned anything about that. As I inquired further, I learned that Tommy's behavior had been gradually changing. Once an active child, he had become increasingly introverted, and sometimes had unexplained bruises. Next, I visited Tommy's pediatrician. While bound by doctor-patient confidentiality, the doctor, seeing my desperate state, offered some general advice. Recently, we've been particularly vigilant about not missing signs of abuse, the doctor said carefully. Especially unexplained injuries or sudden changes in a child's behavior are cause for concern. These words made my heart clench. As I continued my investigation, I discovered that Michael and Sarah were also having financial problems. There were signs of increasing monetary stress, such as Michael's unstable position at his company and Sarah recently quitting her job. Carol, Sarah's friend who works as a cashier at the local supermarket, also shared some concerning information. "Sarah, she's been acting strange lately," Carol said worriedly. "She used to be so cheerful, but suddenly she became gloomy. And she stopped bringing Tommy along." But the most shocking information came from Michael's colleague at work. "Actually," the colleague began hesitantly, "I've seen Michael drinking alcohol during work hours recently. And one day, he accidentally showed someone a photo of his wife with bruises on her arm." The moment I heard this information, I felt something crumble inside me. The reality I didn't want to imagine was slowly being revealed. Back at home, organizing the information I had gathered, I couldn't hold back my tears. To think that my beloved son and daughter-in-law had fallen into such a situation. And above all, that innocent Tommy had become a victim. But now is not the time to be swept away by emotions. There's still more I need to do to protect Tommy and save my family. Gather evidence, report to the appropriate agencies, and confront Michael and Sarah. Looking out the window, I renewed my determination. I intend to do everything in my power to overcome this ordeal and rebuild our family. Faced with the mountain of information I had collected, I let out a deep sigh. Scattered across the table were notes, photographs, and copies of medical records. The reality these pieces of evidence pointed to was far beyond my imagination. How did it come to this? I muttered, reviewing the documents again. Records of Tommy's injuries, testimonies of Michael's drinking, statements from friends suggesting Sarah's depression. All the pieces were pointing to a painful truth. I decided that to handle this situation properly, I needed expert advice. I contacted Jeanette, a longtime friend and retired lawyer. "Betty, this is serious," Jeanette said as she looked through the documents. "There's a high possibility of child abuse. Legally speaking." As I listened to her explanation, I took notes frantically. Child Protective Services, temporary custody orders, and potential criminal charges. These words were becoming frighteningly real. "But first, you should confront them," Jeanette gently added. "There's still a chance to repair the family bonds." Her words gave me a glimmer of hope. The next day, unexpected information came in. A phone call from my old friend John. "Betty, I heard Michael and Sarah are coming back on a cruise ship the day after tomorrow morning." My heart raced. The time for confrontation had finally come. "Thank you, John," I replied, taking a deep breath. I'll go to the port too. After hanging up, I started preparing. I put the necessary documents in my bag and packed a change of clothes. And I didn't forget Tommy's favorite stuffed animal. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. My face looked tired, but my eyes showed strong determination. I'm ready to meet you, I murmured to the mirror. As the night deepened, I spent a sleepless night. In my mind, the scene of tomorrow's confrontation played over and over. Anger and sadness, and above all, a strong desire to save my family, all intermingled. The next day, as a final preparation, I spent precious time with Tommy. The bruises around his eyes were fading, but the wounds in his heart were still not healed. Tommy, let's go meet Daddy and Mommy with Grandma, okay? I spoke gently. Tommy looked anxious but nodded slightly. Are Daddy and Mommy angry? Tommy's small voice made my heart ache. It's all right, Tommy. Grandma's here with you, I hugged him tightly. Imagining the journey to the port, I kept reminding myself, stay calm, but firm. With love, but without compromise. The weight of the documents in my bag tells the gravity of this situation. But even heavier is the importance of this confrontation that could determine the future of our family. Tomorrow morning, we'll head to the port. There, we'll face the truth that has been hidden for so long. And no matter how painful it may be, I believe it will be the first step in repairing our family bonds. All right, everything's ready. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes, preparing for tomorrow. Passengers are disembarking one after another from the cruise ship that has arrived at the port. My eyes are desperately searching for Michael and Sarah. Holding Tommy's small hand tightly, my heart is pounding fiercely. And then, finally, I saw them. Michael. Sarah. I called out loudly. The moment they turned around, I could see their expressions freeze. As soon as they saw Tommy, the color drained from their faces. Mom? Michael's voice cracked. Why are you here with Tommy? Sarah was at a loss for words, just standing there with her mouth open. Grandma, I'm scared, Tommy trembled, clutching the hem of my dress. People around us started to notice our situation, looking on with interest. The tension was palpable in the air. You're going to explain everything, I said quietly, but in a strong tone. Michael looked around and said anxiously, not here. Too many people watching. Then where should we talk? I pressed, not backing down. At that moment, several police officers appeared in a corner of the port. They must have been dispatched in response to the Child Services report. Michael and Sarah's faces turned pale. As they tried to run away, I grabbed their arms firmly and said, "You can't run anymore. It's time to tell the truth." The police intervened and guided all of us to a quiet room. There, the shocking truth was revealed. Michael let out a deep sigh and began to speak. Mom, we couldn't take it anymore. Sarah continued, crying, the stress from work, the debts, and... Does that give you the right to abuse Tommy? My voice was shaking with anger. Michael covered his face and said with a choked voice, at first, it was just scolding. But gradually, it escalated. One day, I impulsively. Michael's voice broke off. I pushed Tommy hard, he fell and hit his eye. I was overwhelmed by a complex mix of emotions, anger, sadness, and love for my grandson. Why didn't you ask me for help? My voice was trembling. We were ashamed, couldn't tell anyone. Michael's answer made my heart ache. The police officers were watching the situation with stern expressions, but one female officer was gently talking to Tommy. It's okay now, Tommy. You're safe, she said. At those words, Tommy's body seemed to relax a little. Michael and Sarah were arrested, and Tommy was placed under the protection of Child Protective Services. Witnessing the breakdown of my family, my heart was in turmoil. However, I couldn't help but feel a slight relief that Tommy's safety was now assured. Epilogue. 6 months have passed since then. Michael and Sarah received suspended sentences and are participating in a strict rehabilitation program. Ironically, they ended up being exposed to the public eye they had feared so much. Tommy came to live with me, and day by day, we're working on healing his heart and body. Grandma, can we go to the park today? Tommy asks at the breakfast table. The wounds around his eyes have healed, and his smile is slowly returning. Of course, Tommy, I smile at him gently. The road to rebuilding our family is long and difficult, but I haven't given up hope. Michael and Sarah are sincerely reflecting on their actions and, while receiving counseling, are trying to gradually repair their relationship with Tommy. Betty, thank you so much, Sarah said tearfully during a recent visit. If you hadn't taken action, we would have sunk into a bottomless pit. The family bonds have been deeply wounded, but I believe that with love, patience, and above all, hope, they will surely heal someday. By overcoming this ordeal, our family will become stronger. I firmly believe that the future reflected in Tommy's smile will be filled with happiness. The gentle September breeze, heralding the end of summer, rustled through the street trees of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Sarah Connor, 38, was going through her usual morning routine. Ethan, breakfast is ready. Sarah called up to the second floor. As the aroma of pancakes wafted through the house, she heard the sound of her 5-year-old son Ethan running down the stairs. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, sweetie. Wash your hands, okay? Sarah smiled as she patted her son's head. Her husband Mark had already left for work, his seat at the breakfast table empty. This had become their recent daily scene. As she poured maple syrup over the pancakes, Sarah found herself reminiscing about 10 years ago. She and Mark had met at a local charity event. Sarah was part of the organizing committee, and Mark had attended as a donor. She was drawn to his gentle nature and intellectual aura, while Mark was captivated by Sarah's brightness and decisiveness. After 2 years of dating, they married, and 3 years later, Ethan was born. For the first 7 years, it was the happy family Sarah had always imagined. Mark was a loving husband and a devoted father. Their weekend picnics and evening board game marathons became cherished memories. However, over the past year or so, something had changed. Mark's return time from work gradually became later, and his time with the family decreased. Even on holidays, work calls became more frequent. "Mom, is Dad going to be late again today?" Ethan asked, his mouth full of pancake. Sarah hesitated for a moment. "Yes, honey. Dad's busy. But he loves us very much." Even as she said this, Sarah felt anxiety creeping into her heart. The recent Mark seemed like a different person. His gentle smile had disappeared, replaced by a constantly tired expression. He spoke less with the family, and when Sarah tried to talk to him, he responded absent-mindedly. Sarah let out a deep sigh. "It'll be okay. Once this busy period passes, things will go back to normal," she told herself. That night, Sarah sat alone on the living room sofa, staring at the TV. The screen was moving, but her mind was somewhere far away. The clock showed 11 p.m. Suddenly, she heard the front door open. Sarah jumped to her feet. "Mark?" There was no answer. Instead, the smell of alcohol wafted into the room. Sarah frowned. It wasn't unusual for Mark to drink, but he had never come home this drunk before. "Welcome home," Sarah called out, but Mark went upstairs without a word. Sarah sat back down on the sofa. She felt something heavy sinking in her chest. This had become her new normal. At 2:15 a.m., Sarah was startled awake by a touch. A small hand was shaking her arm. "Mom, wake up. Hurry." A faint voice could be heard. Opening her eyes, she saw Ethan's serious face. "Ethan, what's wrong? Did you have a bad dream?" Sarah asked, still groggy. "No, Mom. We need to get away from Dad right now." Those words instantly cleared Sarah's drowsiness. "What? Why?" Ethan continued in a trembling voice. "I heard Dad on the phone. He said he wants to make you have an accident. He wants the insurance money." Sarah gasped. Mark saying such things, it was unbelievable. But thinking back on his recent behavior, she couldn't dismiss it entirely. In Sarah's mind, past events flashed by like a montage. The kind Mark from before, his recent cold attitude, and now Ethan's confession. Ethan, did he really say that? Sarah tried desperately to stay calm. Ethan nodded slightly. "Yes. Dad was talking on the phone with someone I don't know. I was scared." Sarah took a deep breath, trying hard to suppress the panic rising within her. What should she do? Should she call the police? Or... "I understand, Ethan," Sarah steeled her resolve. "We're going to leave here. But quietly, okay? We don't want to wake Dad." Ethan nodded, looking relieved. Sarah began packing the bare essentials with trembling hands. Her mind was in chaos, but one thing was certain: she had to protect her son. That was the only thing she could do right now. Sarah's hands shook slightly as she packed the bare minimum into a suitcase in the darkness. Ethan, don't forget your favorite stuffed animal, Sarah whispered to her son. Ethan nodded silently, clutching his beloved teddy bear. Sarah put her wallet, cell phone, and a folder of important documents into her bag. Her hand reached for the ring box. Her wedding ring. She hesitated for a moment, then slowly removed it from her finger and placed it in the box. "Mom, what about Dad?" Ethan asked anxiously. Sarah placed her hand on her son's shoulder. "It's okay. Right now, our safety is what's important." They moved carefully, trying not to make any noise as they descended the stairs. As they crossed the living room, Sarah paused involuntarily. The family photo on the wall. Mark's smiling face. Was that all a lie? Sarah shook her head, trying to shake off the thoughts. Reaching the front door, Sarah took a deep breath. "Ethan, are you ready?" Ethan nodded slightly. Just as Sarah put her hand on the doorknob, there was a knock at the door. Sarah's blood ran cold. Mark? But why would he knock on his own house door? Fearfully opening the door, she found an unexpected person standing there. Martha. Her mother-in-law, Martha, 65, stood there with a worried expression. "Sarah, thank goodness you're awake." Martha's voice was tinged with relief. "What are you doing here so late?" Sarah couldn't hide her confusion. Martha noticed Ethan behind Sarah and frowned. "Are you two going somewhere?" Sarah stumbled for words. Should she lie or tell the truth? Martha, seeming to sense Sarah's hesitation, said quietly, "I came about Mark. He's been acting strange lately." Sarah's eyes widened. Had Martha noticed too? "Can I come in?" "We need to talk." Martha's voice held a sense of urgency. Sarah hesitated for a moment but nodded, holding Ethan's hand tightly. The three moved to the living room. "Mark's been asking for money lately, and he's been quite aggressive about it." Martha began. "Today, he demanded a large sum. When I refused, he burst in, shouting terribly." Sarah gasped. Was this the real Mark? "So I came to check on you, worried," Martha continued. "I never imagined you'd be trying to leave." Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself. "Martha, actually." Sarah confided in Martha about what Ethan had overheard. Martha's face paled. "I can't believe it," Martha murmured. "But seeing Mark's recent behavior, I can't dismiss it completely." Sarah nodded. "We were about to leave temporarily." Martha's expression became resolute. "I'm coming with you. To my house." "What?" Sarah couldn't hide her surprise. "As Mark's mother, I need to correct his actions." Martha's voice was filled with strong determination. "But first, we need to ensure your safety." Sarah felt tears welling up. She had an ally. She wasn't alone. "Thank you, Martha." Ethan spoke in a small voice. "Grandma, are you coming with us?" Martha smiled gently. "Yes, Ethan. Grandma will protect you." The three hurriedly got into Martha's car. Sarah held Ethan close in the back seat. Just as the car started moving, the light in the upstairs bedroom turned on. "Mark's awake." Sarah's voice trembled. Martha spoke while checking the rearview mirror. "It's okay. We're safe now." The car glided into the quiet night streets. Sarah looked back at the house. She wasn't sure if this was the right choice. But for Ethan's sake, and to uncover the truth, she had to take this step. There was still time before dawn. However, a new dawn was about to break in Sarah's life. A week had passed. Sarah and Martha's investigation revealed more shocking facts than they had anticipated. Sarah stared at the documents received from the lawyer and told Martha in disbelief, "It seems Mark has been accumulating debts." Martha's expression turned to surprise. "Really? How much?" "Over $100,000, Sarah's voice trembled. "And most of it was incurred in just the last 3 months." Both women were at a loss for words. What could he have used such a large sum for? The information Martha had gathered was equally shocking. According to Mark's colleagues, he had been frequenting casinos recently. Gambling addiction. Sarah murmured. "But why didn't he talk to us about it?" Further investigation revealed even more serious facts. Mark had been borrowing money at high interest rates from illegal moneylenders. And to repay. He was planning insurance fraud. Sarah's voice shook. "He was going to make me have an accident." Martha covered her face with her hands. "I can't believe it, my son." Sarah's heart was in turmoil. Anger, sadness, and strangely enough, worry for Mark. How desperate must he have been? But why did he tell Ethan? Sarah voiced her question. "It must have been his last pang of conscience," Martha answered quietly. No matter how desperate he was, he didn't want to put his son in danger. Sarah was filled with complex emotions. Disappointment and anger towards Mark. And the love for family that still remained in him. All of these mixed, unsettling her heart. Martha, too, felt deep sadness at her son's actions. "Did I go wrong in raising him?" "No," Sarah strongly denied. "Mark's choices are his own. You're a wonderful mother, Martha." The two women looked at each other, exchanging faint smiles. In this difficult situation, their bond had grown stronger. "What do we do now?" Martha asked. Sarah exhaled deeply. "Honestly, I don't know yet. But there's one thing I'm sure of." "What's that?" "Protecting Ethan. And bringing Mark back to the right path," determination shone in Sarah's eyes. Martha nodded. "I'll help too. Let's get through this together, as a family." Outside, it had started to rain. As if foreshadowing the difficulties ahead. But even in the sound of the rain, there seemed to be a faint melody of hope. Sarah gazed out the window. The road ahead would be tough. But there was no turning back now. Knowing the truth, all she could do was move forward. For Ethan's sake, and for Mark's. 3 days after learning the truth, Sarah decided to confront Mark. As she waited for him in Martha's living room, her heart was pounding fiercely. The doorbell rang, and Martha let her son in. Mark's face looked exhausted, with dark circles under his eyes. "Sarah." Mark's voice trembled. "Sit down." Sarah tried to maintain her composure. Martha sat between them, trying to ease the tension as a mediator. "Mark, I know everything," Sarah began. "The gambling, the debts, and even the insurance fraud plan." Mark covered his face with his hands. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Why?" Sarah's voice rose. "Why didn't you talk to us?" Mark let out a deep sigh. "I was ashamed. It started with small bets. But as I tried to recover my losses. And you even thought about killing me." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. "No." Mark cried out. "I never really intended to do that. But the loan sharks were pressuring me." Martha quietly intervened. "Mark, why didn't you come to me?" "I didn't want to trouble you." Mark's voice grew small. Sarah struggled to contain her emotions. "But in the end, you told Ethan everything." Mark looked up, meeting Sarah's eyes. "When I saw his face, I realized how foolish I'd been. I thought I'd rather confess everything than lose my family." A heavy silence fell over the room. Sarah took a deep breath. "Mark, it's hard to forgive you. But. Hope flickered in Mark's eyes. "For Ethan's sake, I want to try again." Sarah's voice was filled with resolve. Martha placed her hand on her son's shoulder. "We'll help too. Let's get through this together." Mark nodded, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you. I'm truly sorry. From now on, I'll put family first. I promise I'll make amends." Sarah quietly stood up and approached Mark. After a long silence, she embraced him. "Let's work hard together," Sarah's voice echoed gently. Mark's expression showed relief at those words. Family bonds grow stronger through trials. This wasn't an end, but a new beginning. 1 year later, the Connor family had undergone significant changes. Mark was receiving treatment for his gambling addiction and working hard to repay his debts. Sarah supported her husband's recovery while building her own career. Martha played a crucial role in deepening family bonds while looking after her grandson. Ethan, now 7 years old, was happy to see his parents' relationship improve. He often said, "I love Mom, Dad, and Grandma." One evening during dinner, Mark said to his family, "Thank you all. Without you, I couldn't have recovered." Sarah held her husband's hand and smiled. "We're family. We get through things together." Martha hugged her grandson and said, "Let's continue to cherish each other." Outside the window, the setting sun softly illuminated the town. A new morning awaited this family. 5 years later, the Connor family was bound by even stronger ties. Mark had fully recovered and was working harder than ever for his family. Sarah was proud of her husband's transformation, and their relationship had deepened beyond what it was before. Ethan, now 12, had learned the importance of family by witnessing his parents overcome their trials. Martha continued to fulfill her role as the family's pillar while watching her grandson grow. One weekend, during a family picnic, Mark quietly said, "I'm truly sorry. And thank you." Sarah looked at her husband and smiled gently. "We've already overcome the past. Now, let's look to the future." Ethan hugged his parents, while Martha warmly watched over the scene. This family had become stronger and more deeply bonded by overcoming their difficulties. Sarah Johnson woke up a little earlier than usual. The digital clock showed 5:45 a.m. She took a deep breath and slowly got out of bed. Her husband Mark was still fast asleep beside her. "Today is Emily's open house," Sarah whispered to herself. On her way to the kitchen, she stopped in front of her 10-year-old daughter Emily's room. She gently opened the door, checked on her sleeping daughter, and smiled with relief. While preparing breakfast, Sarah was organizing today's schedule in her head. Morning shift at the hospital as usual. Emily's school open house in the afternoon. And then the night shift. "Looks like it's going to be a busy day," she said to herself while brewing coffee. At 7 o'clock, the whole family was up and gathered in the kitchen. "Good morning, Mom," Emily said, rubbing her sleepy eyes. "Good morning, sweetie," Sarah replied, gently patting her daughter's head. "I'm looking forward to the open house today." Mark sat down at the table, picking up the newspaper. "Is there something special going on today?" Sarah looked at her husband with a slightly surprised face. "Yes, it's Emily's open house. It's been on the calendar since last week." "Oh, that's right. Sorry, I've been preoccupied with work," Mark replied, looking a bit apologetic. After breakfast and seeing Emily off to school, Sarah headed to the hospital. Her day as a nurse always passes by in a blur. Patient care, assisting doctors, updating records. Still, she didn't forget about Emily's open house. At 3 p.m., Sarah left the hospital and headed to Emily's school. After parking her car, she entered the school building and was enveloped by a nostalgic atmosphere. Children's artwork adorned the hallway walls. Arriving at the 5th grade classroom, she saw that some parents were already seated. Sarah took a seat at the back and waited for the class to begin. When Mrs. Anderson entered the classroom, the children greeted her in unison, "Good afternoon, Mrs. Anderson." As the class progressed, Sarah observed Emily. Her daughter was listening attentively to the teacher and occasionally raising her hand to ask questions. "She's doing well," Sarah thought to herself. However, looking closer, Sarah felt there was something off about Emily's expression. It seemed to lack its usual brightness. Sarah furrowed her brow but dismissed it as her imagination. After the class ended and parents were leaving the room, Mrs. Anderson approached Sarah. "Mrs. Johnson, do you have a moment?" Sarah was a bit surprised but answered with a smile, "Yes, of course." Mrs. Anderson looked around, making sure no one else was around, then turned to Sarah with a serious expression. Actually, there's something I'd like to discuss about Emily. Sarah's heart started beating faster. Was there a problem? Can we talk in the staff room? Mrs. Anderson continued. Yes, that's fine, Sarah answered, feeling a bit nervous. As they headed to the staff room, Sarah's mind was racing with various thoughts. Was it about Emily's grades? Or maybe issues with friends? Mrs. Anderson opened the door to the staff room and directed Sarah to a sofa. Please, have a seat, Mrs. Anderson said. Her expression conveyed the gravity of what she was about to say. As Sarah sat down on the sofa, Mrs. Anderson took a deep breath and began to speak. Mrs. Johnson, what I'm about to tell you is very important, and probably shocking. Sarah held her breath. What could have happened? Mrs. Anderson looked straight into Sarah's eyes and said in a heavy tone, "You need to divorce your husband immediately and go to the police." Sarah couldn't believe her ears. The shocking words, "You need to divorce your husband immediately and go to the police," echoed in her head. What? What do you mean? Sarah asked with a confused expression. She could feel her heart pounding and her palms getting sweaty. Mrs. Anderson took a deep breath and began to explain carefully, choosing her words. Mrs. Johnson, Emily has been acting strange for the past few weeks. She's usually a bright and active child, but recently she's been lost in thought more often. Sarah gasped. Indeed, she had felt that Emily's behavior at home was a bit off. But she never imagined it could lead to divorce or involving the police. Mrs. Anderson continued, "Last week during art class, I was concerned about a picture Emily drew." Saying this, she pulled out a drawing from her drawer. Sarah looked at the picture and gasped. It showed a small girl hiding with a frightened expression inside a dark-colored house. And a large shadow was looming over the girl. This picture. Emily drew this. Sarah's voice trembled. Mrs. Anderson nodded quietly. Yes. And yesterday, Emily confided in me about what she saw your husband doing in the middle of the night. Sarah's mind went blank. What could Mark have done? Did he do something to Emily? Or... Mrs. Anderson, can you tell me specifically what happened? Sarah asked with a shaky voice. Mrs. Anderson began to speak, carefully choosing her words. According to Emily, last Thursday night, she went downstairs to get some water because she was thirsty. That's when she saw Mark talking to an unknown man in the living room. Sarah gasped. A stranger in the middle of the night. The man was handing a bag of some sort to Mark. Emily couldn't understand what it was, but she said Mark looked very happy when he saw it. Mrs. Anderson continued. Various possibilities raced through Sarah's mind. Was it just a late-night transaction with a friend? Or something more serious? And when Emily tried to go back upstairs, Mark noticed her. Mrs. Anderson's voice lowered. She said Mark grabbed her tightly and threatened her never to tell anyone. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. To think her daughter had such a terrifying experience. And she hadn't noticed anything. Mrs. Johnson, as a professional, I've determined this isn't just a family matter. Emily's safety might be at risk. That's why I recommended going to the police." Mrs. Anderson looked at Sarah with a serious gaze. Sarah held her head in her hands. The happy family life she thought she had seemed to crumble in an instant. But she knew Emily's safety was the top priority. "Mrs. Anderson, thank you so much for telling me about Emily," Sarah said with a trembling voice. I don't know what to do. But I have to protect Emily." Mrs. Anderson gently held Sarah's hand. "You're a strong mother. Be brave, for Emily's sake." Sarah took a deep breath. She was confused and scared, but at the same time, a determination was growing. She had to uncover the truth to protect her daughter. "Mrs. Anderson, thank you for your advice. I need to think about this. And I'll do my best for Emily's sake." Sarah stood up and, though stumbling, left the staff room with firm steps. Her mind was in chaos, but one thing was clear. She had to reveal the truth to protect Emily. As she walked down the hallway, Sarah took deep breaths repeatedly. What should she do now? Should she confront Mark directly? Or should she really go to the police? Sarah left the school and headed to the parking lot. Getting into her car, she pressed her forehead against the steering wheel. Tears rolled down her cheeks. But soon, she lifted her face and wiped her eyes. "I have to be strong for Emily." Sarah started the car. The road ahead might be rough. But she was determined to overcome any difficulty to protect her daughter. With this vow in her heart, Sarah drove off. As Sarah drove, various thoughts swirled in her head. Mrs. Anderson's words, Emily's drawing, and the incident in the middle of the night. Everything was in chaos. When she got home, Emily was already there. "Mom, welcome home," she called out cheerfully, but Sarah thought she could see anxiety hidden behind her daughter's smile. "Emily, how was your day?" Sarah asked, trying to act normal. "It was okay," Emily answered somewhat vaguely. Sarah hugged her daughter tightly. "Emily, you know, Mommy loves you very much. No matter what happens, I'm always on your side." Emily looked a bit surprised but quickly clung to her mother. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She stared at Mark sleeping next to her, pondering his true nature. The next morning, Sarah made up her mind. She would consult a professional first. Sarah made an appointment with the school counselor, Miss Thompson, and nervously knocked on her office door. "Come in," a voice prompted, and as she entered the room, Miss Thompson greeted her with a warm smile. "Mrs. Johnson, please have a seat. What brings you here today?" Sarah took a deep breath and began to talk about what Mrs. Anderson had told her yesterday, the changes in Emily's behavior, and her own concerns. Miss Thompson listened to Sarah's story with a serious expression. "Mrs. Johnson, I understand your concerns. In situations like this, it's important to act carefully. But what should I do? Should I go to the police? Or—" Sarah's voice trembled. Miss Thompson smiled gently. "First, Ensuring Emily's safety is the top priority. And it's also important to gather evidence. But don't forget about your own safety, okay? Sarah nodded. Ms. Thompson continued, "My advice is to first deepen your trust relationship with Emily. Create an environment where she feels safe to talk. And carefully observe Mark's behavior. But it's crucial not to put yourself in danger." "I understand. Thank you," Sarah replied, looking a bit relieved. Ms. Thompson gave Sarah the contact information for an emergency hotline for parents. "Please call anytime if anything happens. You're not alone." As Sarah left the office, she held a new determination in her heart. She had to act carefully to protect Emily and uncover the truth. From that day on, Sarah began to observe Mark's behavior with utmost care. She noticed unusual things like him getting up more frequently at night and suddenly going out more often. At the same time, she started spending more time with Emily. "Emily, has anything changed at school recently?" she asked casually, but Emily didn't seem ready to open up yet. Sarah continued to approach Emily patiently. They cooked together and played in the park. Little by little, she felt Emily's expression softening. One night, when Sarah returned from her night shift, she found an unfamiliar envelope on the living room table. It had Mark's name on it. Sarah hesitated, but, telling herself it was necessary to know the truth, she quietly checked the contents. Inside was cryptic information about a large money transaction. Sarah's heart began to race. Could this be related to what Emily had witnessed that night? Sarah took a photo of the evidence and put the envelope back in its original place. She felt a sense of getting closer to the truth, but also fear of stepping into unknown danger. As days passed, Sarah continued to carefully gather information. Mark's suspicious behavior, late-night phone calls, sudden outings. She recorded everything in a notebook and took photos of anything that felt off. Her relationship with Emily was also gradually improving. One night, as they were watching TV while eating ice cream, Emily began to speak in a small voice. "Mom, you know." Emily hesitated. "Do you remember that night?" Sarah's heart raced. "Which night, sweetie?" Emily looked around, making sure no one else was there, and continued in a small voice. "The night when Dad was talking to that strange man." Sarah gently hugged her daughter. "Emily, can you tell Mommy what you saw? Don't be scared. I'm on your side." Emily, with tears in her eyes, began to describe in detail what she had seen that night. The bag the unknown man had given to Mark, the coded conversation between them, and Mark's terrifying expression when he noticed Emily. "Dad was scary." Emily sobbed. Sarah held her daughter tightly and promised, "It's okay now. Mommy will definitely protect you." Hearing this story, all the dots connected in Sarah's mind. Mark's suspicious behavior, the large money transaction, and Emily's fear. Everything pointed to illegal drug trafficking. Sarah consulted with Ms. Thompson and sought advice on her next steps. "It seems you've gathered quite a bit of evidence," Ms. Thompson said with a serious expression. "But this is not something we can handle on our own. I think it's time to consult the police. Sarah took a deep breath. I understand. But I'm worried about Emily. Emily's safety is the top priority. Let's also consult with the police about how to protect Emily. Sarah contacted the police and presented the evidence she had gathered. Understanding the gravity of the situation, the police immediately took action. While monitoring Mark's activities, decisive evidence was obtained. One night, the police caught Mark in the act of trading a large amount of drugs and cash. Sarah left Emily at her parents' house and waited for Mark to return home. The sound of the front door opening was heard, and Mark entered. "Sarah, you're still up," Mark said, looking a bit surprised. "Yes, I was waiting for you," Sarah answered with a trembling voice. At that moment, the police burst into the house. "Mark Johnson, you're under arrest on suspicion of illegal drug trafficking." Mark looked at Sarah with a shocked expression. "Sarah, this is a misunderstanding. You have to believe me." However, Sarah's eyes were filled with determination. "It's too late, Mark. I know everything. About Emily, about your dealings." The color drained from Mark's face. "Emily saw." "Yes, she did. She's been scared all this time. Because of you." Sarah's voice was filled with anger. As the police handcuffed Mark and led him away, Sarah watched with mixed emotions. Relief, anger, and sadness. All were intermingled. That night, Sarah went to pick up Emily. "It's okay now, sweetie. We're safe." Emily clung to her mother. "Mom, what's going to happen to us now?" Sarah gently hugged her daughter and smiled. "We're in this together. And from now on, we're going to live honestly and happily. I promise." In the moonlight, mother and daughter took their first step towards a new life. Challenges may lie ahead, but they would overcome them together. That's what Sarah vowed in her heart. A year had passed since then. Sarah and Emily's life was slowly but steadily moving forward. In addition to her job as a nurse, Sarah had started volunteering at the local domestic violence support center. She found new fulfillment in supporting women in similar situations, using her own experiences. Emily had entered middle school and regained her former cheerfulness. She was actively participating in student council activities at school and her friendships were going well. One Saturday morning, Sarah and Emily were jogging in the park. As they took a break and sat on a bench, Emily suddenly started talking. "Mom, do you remember? This time last year, how scared we were." Sarah gently held her daughter's hand. "Yes, I remember well." Emily continued, "But you protected me, Mom. You're so strong." Sarah felt her eyes getting hot. "You're strong too, Emily. We overcame it together." Emily hugged her mother tightly. "Mom, thank you. I want to be a strong woman like you." At that moment, Sarah felt that everything had been worth it. The difficult days, sleepless nights, times when she felt crushed by anxiety. She felt that all of it had existed for this moment. "Emily, You're already strong enough. And you'll keep getting stronger. They smiled at each other and started jogging again. Later, Sarah headed to the support group meeting. Today was the day to welcome a new member. As she entered the venue, she saw a young woman with a frightened expression sitting in the corner. Sarah approached her and gently spoke. "Hello. I'm Sarah. It must have taken courage to come here, right?" The woman nodded slightly. "My name is Lisa. I need help." Sarah sat next to Lisa and quietly listened to her story. Lisa's story reminded her of herself a year ago. Fear, anxiety, despair. She could understand it all. "Lisa, you're not alone. All of us here are on your side. Let's overcome this together." Tears welled up in Lisa's eyes. "Thank you. I never thought I'd meet someone who understands so well." Sarah held Lisa's hand and smiled gently. "I was like this at first too. But thanks to the support and courage I gained here, I was able to find a new life. That day will surely come for you too." After the meeting, Sarah returned home. Emily had gone to watch a movie with friends, so Sarah was alone in the house. Sitting on the sofa in the living room, looking out the window, Sarah reflected on the past year. It had been difficult days, but also days of growth. She had discovered strength sleeping within herself, built new bonds, and above all, deepened her relationship with Emily. Sarah took a sip of coffee and took a deep breath. Tomorrow, a new week would begin. Work, Emily's school events, support group activities. Busy days, but fulfilling. And Sarah made a vow in her heart to continue living strongly and kindly. For Emily's sake, and for her own. And for people like Lisa who need help. The sound of the front door opening was heard. "Mom, I'm home." Emily's cheerful voice echoed throughout the house. Sarah stood up with a smile. "Welcome back, sweetie. How was the movie?" The laughter of mother and daughter filled the warm Sunday afternoon home. The outside world might still be harsh. But this house is filled with love and hope. Sarah felt that this was true happiness. The two of them, having overcome difficulties and grown stronger. Their new life had only just begun. I'm Sarah Thompson, 65 years old. I've been living in Brooklyn, New York City for over 40 years. My 35-year-old son Jason and his wife Amanda blessed me with a 5-year-old grandson, Ethan. Seeing Ethan smile has become my greatest joy lately. My life changed dramatically after I lost my husband Tom to illness 3 years ago. After losing the man I'd been with for 50 years, I spent some time in grief. But I knew Tom wouldn't want me to be down forever. With that thought, I slowly began to face forward and move on. That's when I discovered volunteer work at the local soup kitchen. Although I was hesitant at first, now I go without fail 3 days a week. It feels as if this was my true calling all along. Sarah, your soup is the best today. Mike, a regular, calls out to me with a smile. His words warm my heart. Thank you, Mike. It's a special recipe today, I reply with a smile. These small interactions enrich my days. Working at the soup kitchen isn't just about providing meals. Many of the people who come here are looking for someone to talk to. I listen to their stories and sometimes offer words of encouragement. At my age, being able to use my life experience to help others has become an invaluable joy for me. Sarah, your soup has magic in it, says Ellen, another regular. Oh, it's not magic. It's just love, I answer as I continue ladling out soup. Through this work, I've learned a lot. Life has its ups and downs, but everyone has the right to be happy. And a small kindness can make a big difference in someone's life. My experience at the soup kitchen has also had a positive impact on my relationship with my family. I've been able to teach my son Jason and grandson Ethan the importance of compassion. Sometimes they even join me in volunteering. Today, too, I feel happy as I see the smiles of so many people. I want to continue this work. Yes, I'm sure Tom is smiling down on me from heaven. On a bitterly cold winter day, I was working at the soup kitchen as usual. Wearing a thick apron, I was ladling out fragrant vegetable soup from a large pot. As I handed a paper cup of warm soup to an elderly man at the front of the line, I looked up and was met with an unexpected sight. Could it be Ethan? My grandson, Ethan, was standing in line. His small body shivered in the cold as he stood with his head down. For a moment, I thought it might be an optical illusion, but there was no mistake. That adorable blonde hair and those blue eyes. My precious grandson. Ethan. I couldn't help but call out. Ethan slowly raised his face, and when our eyes met, tears welled up in those big eyes of his. Grandma. I quickly told my fellow volunteers that I needed to step away for a moment. Then I rushed over to Ethan and hugged him tightly. What happened? Why are you here? Ethan buried his face in my chest and, between sobs, began to speak. Dad and Mom, they kicked me out. Hearing those words, my heart nearly stopped. Jason and Amanda kicking out such a young child. I couldn't believe it. Can you tell me slowly? Tell Grandma everything. We sat down at a small table in the corner of the soup kitchen. I placed a warm soup and soft bread in front of Ethan, encouraging him to talk bit by bit. Dad and Mom have been so busy lately, they hardly talk to me, Ethan continues, gripping the spoon with trembling hands. Last night, when I asked for help with my homework, Dad got angry. His voice trembles. I gently rubbed his back, encouraging him to continue. Dad yelled, "You're nothing but a nuisance." Then Mom said, "That's right, you're not family anymore." My chest aches. How could Jason and Amanda say such terrible things? Then they kicked me out. I was cold and scared, but I remembered you often talked about the soup kitchen, so I came here. Touched by Ethan's courage, I hugged him tightly once more. I'm glad you came, Ethan. Grandma will take good care of you. However, Inside, I was seething with anger. Why did Jason and Amanda do this? I need to contact them immediately. Ethan, let's go to Grandma's house. You can take a warm bath and rest. Ethan nodded slightly. I explained the situation to my fellow volunteers again and prepared to take Ethan home. In the car on the way home, Ethan fell asleep from exhaustion. Looking at his small sleeping face, I steeled my resolve. I will do whatever it takes to protect and make this child happy. Yes, even if it means confronting my own son. After bathing Ethan in warm water at my house and changing him into clean clothes, he fell into a deep sleep. As I watched my grandson sleeping peacefully, a mix of anger and anxiety swirled inside me. Taking a deep breath, I picked up my cell phone. First, I dialed Jason's number. The phone rang and rang, but there was no answer. Next, I tried Amanda's number, but again, no response. What on earth are they doing? I muttered to myself. As a last resort, I decided to try calling their home phone. After several rings, someone finally picked up. Hello, Jason. I quickly began speaking. I'm very worried about Ethan. Oh, Mom, Jason's voice came through. In the background, I could hear lively conversation and the clinking of dishes. I'm kind of busy right now. I'll call you back later. Wait! I cried desperately. Where's Ethan? He says you kicked him out. After a moment of silence, Jason answered in a casual tone. Oh, him. It's just a bit of discipline. He'll be back soon enough. Discipline? I raised my voice in disbelief. You call kicking out a 5-year-old child on a freezing winter night discipline? Mom, you're exaggerating, Jason laughed. Look, we're enjoying a fancy French dinner with just family now. Don't bother us. The moment I heard those words, something snapped inside me. Just family. My voice was shaking. Are you saying Ethan isn't family? Well, that's about right. Jason's voice showed not a hint of guilt. He was kind of a disappointment. I was at a loss for words. I felt as if the world had gone dark around me. Jason, listen to me, I tried desperately to maintain my composure. Ethan is at my house now. He was shaking from cold and fear. What on earth are you thinking? Oh, is that so? Jason's voice sounded as if he was talking about someone else's problem. Well, then we'll leave him with you for a while. We're kind of busy, you know. Jason. I shouted, but the phone had already been hung up. I stood there, dumbfounded. My son's cold attitude, his indifference towards his own child. Is this really the child I raised? Tears streamed down my cheeks. But I quickly pulled myself together. This is no time for tears. I need to protect Ethan. I picked up my cell phone and called my friend Mary, who is a lawyer. Mary, it's an emergency, I briefly explained the situation. Sarah, this is serious, Mary's voice was filled with concern. First, we need to ensure Ethan's safety. Then, We need to review Jason and Amanda's parental rights. Thank you, Mary, I took a deep breath. What should I do? First, let's report to the police that Ethan is with you now, Mary calmly instructed. Then, we need to contact Child Protective Services. I nodded, jotting down Mary's instructions one by one. This will be a tough battle. But for Ethan's sake, I'll overcome any difficulty. After hanging up, I peeked into the room where Ethan was sleeping. Seeing his peaceful sleeping face strengthened my resolve. It's okay, Ethan, I whispered softly. Grandma will protect you. And with that, I began preparing for my next move. I will do everything in my power to uncover the truth behind Jason and Amanda's actions and protect Ethan. Acting on Mary's advice, I immediately sprang into action. First, I went to the local police station, explained Ethan's situation, and reported that I was temporarily taking care of him. The police officer understood the gravity of the situation and helped me fill out the necessary paperwork. Next, I contacted Child Protective Services. A social worker named Linda was assigned to our case, and we scheduled a home visit for the following day. After completing these official procedures, I decided to start my own investigation. Jason's mention of a fancy French restaurant had been bothering me. Fancy French restaurant? I muttered as I opened my computer. I began searching for high-end restaurants in the area, but none of them were in a price range that Jason and Amanda could normally afford. Strange. I frowned. I had noticed that my son and daughter-in-law's lifestyle had suddenly improved recently, but could it be? I decided to call Jason's company. When the receptionist answered, I tried to get connected to Jason's department, but I received an unexpected response. I'm sorry, but Jason Thompson resigned over a year ago. I was shocked by this information. Jason had been saying he was going to work every day. What on earth is going on? As I continued my investigation, I stumbled upon a social media post. On Amanda's Facebook page, there was a photo of a restaurant called Le Petit Chateau. The caption read, "Our new business is doing great." This could be it. I instinctively thought. The next day, after receiving Linda's home visit, I set out to locate Le Petit Chateau. However, when I arrived at the address listed, there was no restaurant-like building in sight. This is odd. I looked around. Then, I decided to ask a nearby mail carrier. Excuse me, is there a restaurant called Le Petit Chateau around here? The mail carrier tilted his head. I've never heard of a restaurant by that name. But fancy-looking meal deliveries often come to this address. This information started to connect some dots in my mind. After returning home, I continued my investigation. I searched for reviews of Le Petit Chateau online, but they were all suspiciously similar glowing reviews. And the lack of any reservation method listed was also unnatural. This is... I gasped. It might be a fake restaurant. The next day, I contacted Mary again and shared my findings. Sarah, this is serious, Mary's voice was grave. There's a high possibility of fraud. Let's gather evidence. With Mary's help, we began investigating the true nature of Le Petit Chateau. Social media advertisements, fake reviews, demands for high reservation fees, everything pointed to an elaborately planned scam. And then we found the decisive evidence. Multiple bank accounts opened under Jason and Amanda's names. Large sums of money, collected as reservation fees for Le Petit Chateau, were flowing into these accounts. Why? I fought back tears as I looked at the evidence. Why would they do this? Mary gently placed her hand on my shoulder. Sarah, I know this is hard. But we need to think about Ethan now. I took a deep breath and calmed myself. That's right. Protecting Ethan is the top priority now. Mary, what should we do? I asked with renewed determination. First, let's submit this evidence to the police, Mary answered calmly. Then, we'll start the process to obtain custody of Ethan. I nodded. I can't forgive what my son and daughter-in-law have done. But more than that, I'm worried about Ethan's future. Ethan needs to be given real love. I murmured. That night, as I sat beside the sleeping Ethan, I made a vow. No matter how difficult it might be, I will protect this child and make him happy. And Jason and Amanda need to understand the gravity of their actions. This will be a long battle. But now that the truth has come to light, there's no turning back. For Ethan's sake, and for the sake of justice, I have no choice but to move forward. The day after Jason and Amanda's fraudulent activities came to light, I visited Mary's law office. Despite the heavy heart I carried, I told myself I needed to be strong for Ethan's sake. Sarah, I'm glad you came, Mary welcomed me warmly. Her calm demeanor gave me a sense of reassurance. Mary, thank you so much, I sighed deeply. What should we do now? Mary began explaining as she spread documents on her desk. First, we need to report to the police. We must submit the evidence we've gathered about Jason and Amanda's fraud. I nodded silently. Reporting my own son to the police is an agonizing choice for a parent. But for Ethan's sake, it's an unavoidable path. And at the same time, we'll start the process to gain custody of Ethan, Mary continued. If Jason and Amanda are arrested, there's a high chance that Ethan's guardianship will be transferred to you. Is it really possible? I asked, feeling a mix of anxiety and hope. It won't be easy, Mary answered honestly. But considering that you're Ethan's grandmother and have been taking care of him, and the fact that Jason and Amanda are involved in criminal activities, we have a good chance. I took a deep breath and steeled my resolve. I understand, Mary. I'll do whatever it takes. After that, we began preparing to report to the police. Mary meticulously compiled the evidence, and I practiced explaining the situation numerous times. Sarah, remember, Mary looked me straight in the eye and said, "This is the right thing to do. It's necessary to protect Ethan." I nodded, holding back tears. Yes, this is for Ethan. The next day, we visited the local police station. My hands were shaking from nervousness, but remembering Ethan's smile helped me regain some composure. The detective in charge listened to our story seriously. When we showed him the evidence, his expression became stern. "This is indeed a serious case," the detective said. "We'll start an investigation and take necessary measures." As we left the police station, a mix of complex emotions swirled inside me. A sense of guilt for betraying my son, and a sense of relief that I could protect Ethan. Over the next few weeks, I was busy preparing to gain custody of Ethan. There was a mountain of tasks to do: preparing application documents for family court, requesting character witnesses, setting up the home environment, and more. Particularly challenging was caring for Ethan's emotional well-being. How should I explain to a 5-year-old why his parents are gone? I agonized over this many times, carefully choosing my words. "Ethan, Grandma is going to take care of you from now on," I gently told him one day. "But what about Mom and Dad?" Ethan asked anxiously. "Mom and Dad, they've gone away for a while," I answered, hugging him. "But Grandma will always be here for you." Ethan nodded slightly and clung to me. For this child's future, I'm prepared to face any difficulty. It will be a long battle. But for the sake of Ethan's smile, I will never give up. We'll move forward, one step at a time, steadily. As the police investigation progressed, the day finally came. Early one morning, a knock sounded at my door. "Mrs. Thompson, Jason Thompson and Amanda Thompson have been arrested," the detective quietly informed me. Feeling a mix of relief and sadness, I hugged Ethan tightly. "It's okay now." A few weeks later, a hearing was held in family court. Jason and Amanda were found guilty of fraud, and custody of Ethan was to be transferred to me. The judge's words echoed, "Sarah Thompson, you are granted sole custody of Ethan." Tears welled up in my eyes. Holding Ethan's small hand tightly, I smiled. "Grandma, are we going to be together forever now?" Ethan asked anxiously. "Yes, Ethan. Grandma will take good care of you." A new life began. Every morning, I see Ethan off to school, and in the evening, we do homework together. On weekends, we volunteer at the soup kitchen, and Ethan has started helping out too. A few months later, a letter arrived from Jason in prison. "Mom, I'm truly sorry. Please take care of Ethan." While there was sadness, the courage to forgive was also beginning to sprout. 5 years later, Ethan has grown into a bright and healthy 10-year-old boy. On weekends, we visit Jason in prison, slowly rebuilding our relationship. After serving her sentence, Amanda participated in a rehabilitation program and now works as a real chef. As for me, I've used this experience to establish a support group for abused children. Life may bring unexpected trials, but with love and courage, we can overcome them. Believing this, we cherish each day as it comes.